Hello, Equestrian Mums Club. It's your fearless leader here, Katie. And I've got a guest on the podcast today. This is somebody, actually, you'll probably know her children more than you'll know her, which is it's a crying shame because she's an absolute hoot. Today, I have on the podcast Laura, Welsh name Cadwallader, and Laura is coming on to talk to us as a mother of riders, which is really exciting. So welcome, Laura. Hi.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
So, Laura, what is your handle on socials? How might people have seen you before? Or your kids?
So, yeah, it probably is more the children than me. But me, Ivy, and Dixie are the faces at home with Ivy and Ponies. We are on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. And we are an account that has predominantly arose because we wanted to document Ivy's riding journey. And this was way back like 5 years ago now. I kind of felt that it would be a nice platform to be able to document the ups and downs of riding. And what goes on behind the scenes, because it's not all what you think it is.
Yeah, we know. Sob, sob.
To be honest, I made the account originally just to kind of, like I say, document everything. And then I kind of also then followed like-minded accounts, like-minded mums, people in a similar situation to me, not having a huge support network of friends that also have young equestrians. And when I found my little tribe, I definitely realised that there was a gap in the social world for people being really honest about what having young equestrians and learning to ride is about.
And just for the listeners' knowledge, if they've not come across your account before, how old are your girls now?
So I've got Ivy, who's 7. We started documenting her journey when she was, it sounds crazy, but she literally started riding when she was 1. 2 weeks before she was 2, we got Ivy her first pony. So it's been quite a journey. And then Dixie is coming up 2. So she, bless her, has just been thrown into this life without any other experience of what a normal life is apart from
Normal childhood.
So she's just starting to be aware of the horses, wanting to be around the horses, and I have no doubt will want to ride as well. So it's a journey. My page is a journey. It's the ups and downs. We do funny sketches, but mainly it's about trying to build a community of like-minded people, like-minded mums, like-minded families that are on this crazy roller coaster of pony life and like I say, learning to ride.
And there's a lot of those. There is. Do you know what? It's been such fun sort of catching up with you behind the scenes. But for the listeners who, again, might not have followed you so far, what's your background? Are you horsey? Tell the group.
So I have a very, very horsey mum myself, who has had horses all her life. She did the usual. We actually got a choice. So when me and my younger sister, she's 2.5 years younger than me, and I was maybe 10, she was maybe 8. My mum was desperate to get us into horses. She was desperate to get us into ponies. My dad, not so much. So there was a bit of like, are we going to go down this road or not? And we had a choice between an abroad holiday every year or to buy a pony. And you can imagine what 2 10 and 8-year-old girls chose.
I love it.
So,
my parents had been like, absolutely not. No, we're having the holiday.
So I didn't get on an aeroplane until I was 18 because my parents chose to put finances into a pony life. And then at 18, when I got on a plane, I decided actually I don't quite know if this is for me. So I outgrew the equestrian lifestyle, and so did my sister, unfortunately. So I then had 10 years completely out of being around horses. My mum's always had them in her life, and to this day will say she could not categorically live without her horses or horse that is living in my back garden. And I've kind of come back into it through having Ivy, basically.
I think that's amazing. Again, we were talking about this before the pod started, but your mum and I are one, like we in a non-weird and creepy way. You know, I was saying to you that this is what keeps my heart beating, my brain sort of the right track. Um, I literally cannot live without them or be the best version of me without my horses. Um, to be honest, they also often bring out the worst in me, but that's a different story for another day. But just the innate need for them. And I was saying before we hopped on this chat, when I first connected with you and we were chatting away about how we could collaborate and if you wanted to come on a podcast, and weirdly you said yes. Uh, we were chatting about it and I was saying, the thing about you, Laura, and I was putting words in your mouth, but you have done a very selfless thing. Like, I find this life hard. And this is the thing that, keeps me going and keeps me who I am. But you have chosen, you have chosen this for your girls when actually there are lots of other things that you could do to be building yourself up. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's amazing. That's amazing.
I haven't ever looked at it from that perspective. So yes, that is, yeah, I'm crazy. I think I do often
No.
say, and I do joke on my Instagram, that maybe buying a hamster 7 years ago would have been a lot easier. However, um, I'm very lucky in the respect that I do get a lot from watching Ivy and now Dixie coming through this journey with the horses. And at times I do think, God, what am I doing? Life would be so much easier without it. But they ultimately give me so much joy. I can't imagine a life without them now. I think if Ivy outgrew horses, it wouldn't be something I would continue with. But as a whole, as a them, I think I would really struggle without Ivy and her horses, Dixie and the horses, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Maybe the listeners will resonate to this as well. I was speaking about my own parents and their potential journey with horses. For anyone that doesn't know this, my parents are not horsey at all. I came into this just literally popped out the womb, obsessed. I think that might be neurodiversion speaking, to be honest, but that was the hyper focus. So we've gone with it. But my mum and dad just, yeah, cool. Like, it's got a head, legs, and a tail. Like, what else is there to like about it? And you said to me, but do they like them? And my response to you was, like strong, maybe tolerate. And I think they are delighted that I've found something that lights me up. You know, it could be clay pottery. It isn't, sadly, for everybody, but it's something that gives me joy. And I suppose that's what you're saying about Ivy, right?
Yeah,
This is
I
her
mean,
thing.
we've tried other hobbies and not to not do horses, but to go alongside that. And nothing lights Ivy up like being in her wellies outside with her ponies. And that's what we have to focus on. So that's what we're doing. And we are, I mean, to say my non-horsey husband now lives in an equestrian property and does everything in his day-to-day life to fund this. Bless his heart. It's been a bit of a 360, but yes, I wouldn't have it any other way as it stands.
And he thought he was marrying a non-horse girl, right?
Yes,
And what have you done? You've created one. Actually,
we
two.
often joke. We often joke. I sold him the dream.
I think my husband will do probably that. Oh, so so a question for you because I don't know the answer to this. Did you move into an equestrian property for Ivy then and the horses, or did you already live in something that you could adapt?
So we lived in a new build with a little garden. I say a little garden. It had a decent sized garden, but not to the extent that we've got here. No, I've kind of drip fed Reese over the last 6 years. And when we say sold him a dream, it was very much like, well, let's just get one and learn and see what happens. Well, let's just buy one because if it doesn't work out, we can sell it. And if we do carry on this path, we just sell them and get rid of them and then buy another. So we would only ever have one. And then it was, we need a trailer to take this pony to events because now we're going to start going to lessons and clinics. So that was something we definitely absolutely needed. And then we needed another one. So then we ended up with two. And then it was, livery's too expensive. The journeys and the cars and the babies and everything else is going to be too much to handle. So let's just buy somewhere we can just have it all in one place. And it's just agreed.
Do you know what though? You've literally you've just had a really short summary then of my entire life and the exact conversation that I have with my husband all the time. And we just need a horse box and we just need this and we just need that. But the thing is, it's far more potent when that's your kid, not you.
Yes, there is a lot more. There's a lot more to that when it's your little daughter that is wanting all of these things as well as just your wife. So yeah, we joke. We've built a lifestyle around it now, definitely. And you know, it's one of those things where I'm sure now he wouldn't ever say that he would want it any differently. But ultimately, Ivy's driven all of this. It has all come from Ivy and her passions. If she doesn't make it as an Olympian, she's getting cut, and I'm kidding.
She's out the will. I love it.
And my mum sat in the background like, my mum's living her full horsey dream through me and the kids now.
So sweet though.
Yeah, and it's funny because as you talk to people, and like I've obviously spoke to Reese's family members and things, and there has been lots of Reese's relatives that have been horsey. We're in a very rural place here, so like Reese's auntie learnt how to ride down the road at a riding school. It's not been completely out of the question for Reese in regards of like there's been conversations where it's been like, oh no, there is equestrians in his family. I just don't think it was maybe where he thought his life would go. But I never thought this was where I would end up either. If I'm going to be completely honest.
I mean, he's in the house today, and I'm sure if he could hear this conversation, he would be popping in and going, yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
Didn't think that I would be funding this lot. We fund it together, just so we're clear. But yeah, it is funny how it sort of creeps up on you. I did think that this was going to be my life, but I guess I hadn't imagined the kid bit. That was not part of my plan at all.
Yeah,
And that has brought a different shift, obviously. But yeah, and that's brought us here. So hooray.
absolutely. Yeah.
So, a question for you, and this isn't a loaded question, this is a genuine curiosity. Because you've made the choice to have ponies for your girls, how does that change life? Again, those of us that are horsey from birth or from like a really young age, we just used to, I guess, this is our life, this is what we do. But your life must look so different now from what it did like 10 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you are totally right. Like my mum, for example, has always had them, so has never really known anything different. Whereas for me, I have lived without them and now live with them. I suppose I have to say no to quite a lot of things because they are such a commitment. Um, I was only saying this the other week, you know, my friends have really had to adapt to the horses coming first, you know, before you could go away for weekends, you could go out all day. I need to make sure that the horses are sorted before I make plans. That's been a
There's no
huge
bottomless
thing.
brunches here. That's not a thing.
Exactly. So, for example, if I was asked to go away somewhere, my first conversation with Reese would be, can you have the children all weekend? But also then what's going to happen with the horses? And I'm very lucky that my mum is my default. So she's like the biggest support system I've got, which she had to be getting us all back into it. But whereas my friends wouldn't even take a second, they wouldn't even be a conversation of that. It would just be, let's just go. The other side to it, I suppose, is financial because they are a huge financial commitment.
Preach, 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 preach.
So, for example, my friends all have hair extensions, nails done, eyelashes done, all of those lovely things. They come to things with nice outfits on and new clothes. And unfortunately for me, if it's the choice between me getting my hair done and the horse getting a new pair of shoes or a new rug or a physio appointment or paying a vet bill, then ultimately that is a decision where the ponies would come first.
Gosh. And I literally just put a post up yesterday, which I think you saw, which was about like looking after yourself. And this is a prime example
Yeah.
of having to make really tough choices. But I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like, the money isn't endless. It doesn't matter who you are, the money isn't endless. So you need
Yeah.
to prioritize what you're spending it on.
Yeah. I think that is ultimately it. It's prioritizing that they're like living animals at the end of the day that unfortunately do cost a lot of money. And I think anybody that is coming into this needs just to really know that because, you know, vet bill can start at £100, but it can be £10,000 within 24 hours. You just don't know what's going to happen and is round the corner, I suppose, do you? And I then also have to live with the fact that this is Ivy's pony as well. So for example, if something was to happen and a vet would advise me that a horse needed physio or you just don't ride it, I can't make that decision for me because that would be something that would change Ivy's life. I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
explaining that very well. So if I had to make a tricky decision, I'm having to do that through Ivy's eyes, not my own.
Yeah. And of course, as a tiny person, you don't have the context for that. Like, you don't have the decision making facility at that point, really, to understand the greater context. I mean,
Yeah,
kids get a lot.
absolutely. And I think that is ultimately a lot of the things that Ivy's had to grow up quicker than I would say a normal child has because the responsibility that she has with her horses and her ponies. And, you know, we've had to juggle situations with the ponies where me making the decision for Ivy would be different to you making it for your horse, if that makes sense. Like we made a decision to put one of Ivy's ponies out on learn last year. As an adult, that's a really rational decision. You know, it's not an easy one, but you can rationalize that in your head that that is the right thing to do for the pony. It's the right thing to do for yourself, whatever the circumstance. I had a completely different way of looking at that because I had to do it through a 7-year-old's eyes who was completely devoted to that pony.
And, it's also a core part of her growing up, isn't it? Like, it's making like emotionally deep choices, I guess, at such a young age. I think equestrians are, particularly if you've done this as a child or as an adolescent, you do grow up quicker because it's a bit like agri kids, farm kids, or kids that are very outdoorsy. You get used to making decisions outside of yourself for living
Yeah,
beings that you are responsible for. And it doesn't mean that you're not emotionally tied to those creatures, but you have to be selfless again,
yeah.
on their behalf. And that's, yeah, it does age you somewhat. I literally feel like I feel like 90 in a 35-year-old's body.
My greys are really starting to come through this year. It's just a different, I think it is just a different way of seeing it, isn't it? I suppose. You know, we make decisions, I think, with everybody in mind rather than just myself. Like if my mum had to make a decision about Robin, ultimately that would be her decision. It's got harder as Ivy's got older because she's got a lot more awareness now as well as understanding. And you live with a lot of guilt for that. I mean, gosh, when we put Gwen on learn last year, Ivy was getting ready for a new pony. It was the natural progression. We'd been offered puzzle on learn. We don't currently have the space for 3 small ponies. And
Nor do
I
I.
also didn't
And here we are.
and I didn't selfishly, I didn't want a 3 over winter. So
Nor did I. Here we are.
and that is the difference, I suppose, isn't it? So, we had to make a decision. It was what it was. Gwen's gone to an amazing family temporarily. She's having the best time ever. But that process was a really emotional one. And I laid in bed at night feeling so much guilt for that.
Gosh, that word comes back time and time again, does it not?
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, absolutely. And I think you will find yourself feeling guilty about the way that you are an equestrian with a young child. I have different types of guilt, but I think ultimately it comes back down to the fact that being a mum is really
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your setup is, whether you've got them at home, whether you've got them on livery, whether you buy them, whether you loan them, whether you share them, whether you have somebody to muck them out 7 days a week, whether you don't. Well, like, it doesn't matter. You feel guilty about something all of the sodding time.
Yeah. I mean, like when I was pregnant, Ivy had nagged and nagged and nagged me to have another baby for years, and we eventually took the plunge and said, "Right, let's have another." We were
This
extremely
kid
fortunate.
runs your life.
Oh, yeah, she does. This is Ivy's world, we just live in it. This is the big joke we have. And if you met Ivy, you would totally understand.
She sounds like the next president.
I mean, she's hilarious in her own right, but, I fell pregnant and it was like, right, this is lovely and great until I couldn't then run around after her on a lead rein. There's me heavily pregnant trying to lunge her so I didn't have to do the running around because she still wanted to ride her pony 4 times a week. She couldn't have given a stuff whether I was 37 weeks pregnant or not. I mean, we did a show when I was 5 months after having Dixie. I was still breastfeeding. It was the first show we'd done. And I was like, right, we're just going to have to do it. We packed the entirety of our house into the car alongside with the pony. And I had 5 other helpers around me just to get through the day so that Ivy, because she loves her showing, could go and show. And when we got there was a 30 centimetre course put up that was just to kind of go
Oh,
and
of
have a
course there
go.
was. Of course there was. Like, you couldn't write it, could you?
So guess which mother that had done no fitness for over 6 months had a
Plus, and literally had, like, bits of her body hanging out.
and had a baby hanging off my boob most of the time, went into this arena with Ivy on lead rein, and they said, "The timed section is straight after you've jumped the course." And Ivy went, "You better get your running shoes on."
No, she didn't. What a joker. What an absolute joker.
And I needed a defib almost when I came out of that.
I literally am dying.
And I did it for her because, God, I wasn't leaving that show with having her in my ear saying that, she didn't place because I wasn't quick enough, but she was
Because of
over the
you.
moon to
You
even
were the
go because
problem
of
here.
me. Yeah, yeah. And then fast forward to a year, we did a show jumping with Pony Club. Um, I was in much better shape at that point, and did I win out of 13 horses and ponies? God damn, I bloody did on lead rein. There's me stood with the little black Shetland and the little child with the first position.
You
The
get your
things we
running
did.
shoes on, mum. Get your running shoes on. Oh my
And the
gosh.
best bit was I had all the showing gear on because I was doing lead rein at the time. I had no other clothes. I obviously wasn't expecting to do this. So I had showing trousers on, trainers, and a shirt. And I looked like an absolute lunatic. But there we went. I went into the ring. We did what we needed to do. We got clear.
My lord. You are something else. Putting it all aside, but you know, I bet you rock that look. I bet you rock that look. I have another question around this. So obviously you brought your own helpers when you had baby attached to boob, but what what's been the reception sort of from wider equestrian contacts? Have you felt like a fish out of water? Have you felt very welcomed? What's your experience been as a person that doesn't have a horse rocking up to these events with Ivy?
I think you do. I have felt very out of my depth, especially like in the showing world and things, because I am completely learning as I go. And it has taken me a while to get over the fact that I am probably one of the least knowledgeable people, for example, in Pony Club or, like we say, when you go to events and things. And yeah, it's been a journey, I suppose, but you learn on the job, don't you? You kind of have to make mistakes and ask for help. I think the biggest thing for me is just asking for help and being okay with not knowing everything as well.
Boy, does that resonate with parenthood in general. I think
Yeah, it's very easy to think that everybody's got the together and you don't. Everybody's in a similar position. I think somebody once said to me, everybody's in the same sea, but they're not in the same boat. And I think that is such a fab expression.
It's how equipped are you for this, and how can you get more equipped for this, I
Yeah.
think, isn't it? Um, and I suppose if when you're first starting out, imagine you're a parent that their kid is obsessed with ponies and you don't know anything about it. I think it can feel really intimidating and like you can be terrified of getting it wrong, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it is easy to get it wrong as well. Like even whether you're horsey or not.
Yeah, because especially with horses and animals in general, there isn't a one size fits all, is there? And you can turn up with the wrong equipment, or the
Forget a bit.
pony forget something. I mean, I've done that a few times and been in trouble for that. And the other thing I think as well is everybody's got an opinion from their own experiences. So I think also you can be unaware and ask, but then almost get too many different opinions and then feel like you really have no idea what you're doing. I think
And
that can
it's
be quite overwhelming.
and it's hard to filter out as well, again, whether you are an equestrian or not, which is a valuable experience for you to like rely on as your guide. And I think and as a parent as well, actually, just saying.
Yeah,
But that's one of the things I think we always try to do here at EMC is we know that my experience is not gonna resonate with loads of people, but the whole idea of getting someone else like yourself on or anybody, any one of our guests is your experience might resonate with them more, and that might be their guide. That might be the better guide for them. Um, and again, whether it be horses or kids or any part of life, you've almost got to like try it on for size to see what
yeah,
works for you. And God, it's so uncomfortable, isn't it? But yeah, I just have to kind of be prepared to get it wrong and kind of
yeah,
grow through it, if that
yeah.
makes sense.
Uh, yeah, I mean, over the last 5 or 6 years, we've learned lots of lessons. I think it is just finding like-minded people, isn't it, that are
Where you feel, where you kind of feel safe to be yourself,
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly, and that if something does go wrong, you've got people around you that can protect you and support you through that rather than feeling like you're being judged.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's actually also a good reminder for all of us. Like an example, bringing it back to horses, is like if you go for a lesson with a coach that you know is like really widely revered in your area, and you're like, oh, that's such and such. They are great at this, that, and the other. And you get there and you feel uncomfortable, or you feel intimidated, or like they're being condescending, or their words are just not like going in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe that's just not your person.
yeah.
Maybe I think you
Admit defeat, and that's okay.
Yeah, yeah. Talking of admitting defeat, actually, interesting segue. What has kind of been your biggest learning along the way from Ivy's perspective? Like in terms of a challenging moment with ponies so far? Has there been anything that you're like, this has been really hard to navigate?
Yeah, we've had a real journey with coming off the lead rein,
Okay.
and that has I've really tried to document that on our account because that is a case of 5 steps forwards, 2 steps back. Over and over and over. And another thing, being a parent of an equestrian, it's really hard to watch that frustration in your child and know how to manage that when you are an equestrian yourself.
Yeah. And also as well, like kids are growing up and navigating that world at their own pace as well. I mean, it's hard to deal with their frustration without horses in the mix,
Yeah.
but horses are such an emotional tie, so they kind of like amplify things, right?
Yeah, so I think that's probably been the biggest challenge. We are there now, but we bought Ivy Gwen when she was 4 as a first ridden, and it took 2 years to get her from a lead rein to a first ridden on a pony that was a first ridden pony. Because we came across loads and loads of different setbacks. Just as an example, for one, the pony came with a bit that was fine when she was on lead rein, but the minute then Ivy took over the reins, quite literally, that came with problems, because then you've got a small child that's then trying to learn how to steer and to control this animal with a bit. And that in itself was a journey. And as an adult, you can understand that. But then it's trying to explain that to a 4-year-old, that we're now going to have to change this, and we're going to have to get this lady in. She's going to have to come, and you're going to have to try 5 different pieces of equipment or bits or bridles or whatever, and see whatever feels right for you. And you're trying to gauge that from a 4-year-old. I can't get on the pony. It's really silly things like that that you probably wouldn't even think about, that took us 4 months back.
Yeah. And to
Because
be honest though, like if you have an equipment change as an adult, it can take you much longer to
Yep,
adjust, you know? So it's a big change for a kid, like a big change. And then you've got to then translate it as well.
yeah.
Like she doesn't know what feel is at this point.
No, exactly, exactly. And then we joined Pony Club. Love Pony Club. There's definitely a place for Pony Club. And group lessons, that was a whole new ball game, because Ivy then had to think about other people in the lesson other than herself, and 4 other ponies that were unpredictable. So, and again, as an adult, I have really struggled to let go of the control of that. We joke at Pony Club, I'm the mum with the lead rope in her pocket, ready to just clip her back on at any given point. Um, I'm not a go and get on with it, and if you fall off, it is what it is. I've really had to come to terms with that. I like being in control and keeping her safe. So that in itself is just a whole different thing to think about.
Yeah. Whereas I, with my son, well, not that he listens to me anyway, but I'm very much a go, do, see. Like
Yeah,
what happens, happens, obviously within reason.
yeah,
Whereas my husband is more like you. He wants to control the controllables. I'm just a lot more fluid.
yes. Yeah, and to be fair, I am generally quite laid back. But with her riding, I think you do feel differently. I think when you know the risks as well as an adult, don't you? And the thing is, in the time I spent riding, I wasn't ever a confident rider. I can't really ever say I've enjoyed it. I love the thought of it, but if you put me on a pony now, I get really nervous. And I think it's really hard not to put that onto your children as well.
Yeah, yeah. And do you know that's really interesting because I actually feel like maybe I'm just lackadaisical or whatever the word is. Like I don't feel nervous unless I have put like my own pressure on myself. Does that
Yeah,
make sense? So I wouldn't. I know that sometimes it's going to go to tits because it just is. The horse is
yeah,
like, but
yeah.
yeah, there's definitely moments where I'm like, oh, maybe I should have been more like not prepared for that, but like I should have worried about that a bit more.
Yeah. Then and, like, it is different when you are an adult and you're making that decision for yourself. I suppose, some of the challenges I've come across as a mum is things like going to Pony Club and doing hacks, and some parents really confident with their children going off into a stubble field, you know, and I'm the one that I don't know how comfortable I feel about that. So I'm then trying to navigate Ivy having the same experiences as a friend, but actually how can I do that with my own personal boundaries of what that looks like and how I feel safe about that and how Ivy feels safe about that? And it is having to try and have those conversations. And me and Reed, especially Reed coming from a non-horsey background, he really sees the risk in horses because he doesn't understand the sport. So then you've got that conversation of, do you think that she should be doing that? Or, I mean, Ivy's only little as well. I mean, she probably doesn't look as small on socials as she is. She is tiny for her age. So there's just a lot to it that I think you probably maybe don't see or realise.
Do you know, that's so interesting because my husband also will point out the risks more to me than perhaps I've clocked,
Yeah,
or I just perceive risk in a different way. It's not that
yes,
I don't see it, it's just that I'm looking at what I know of my experience of my horse's behaviour, for example, and he's looking at it through a lens of, "Oh my gosh, this creature could crush him at any minute." That's
yeah,
what and I'm looking at, you know, what are their facial expressions? What are their body parts doing? What noises are they making, if any? Like, I'm looking at it
yeah,
from the complete equine behavior side of it, whereas he and maybe Reese and maybe yourself are looking at it from a, do is that mm, yeah, there's quite a lot of flags here. There's quite a lot of flags here.
yeah. So then that is another, yeah, it's just another thing, I suppose, that then kind of you've got to be aware of. Whereas Ivy knows her ponies inside and out because she spends so much time with them, and she has a bond with the ponies that I don't have.
Because they're
But
her
but
thing.
she's a 7-year-old child. You know, it's like it's the initiative, isn't it? I was speaking to a parent the other week, and she said that her little girl, now she's kind of 10, 11, she's got more of a life initiative to be able to understand the risk of a situation and to have a gut feeling. I don't think Ivy's got that yet. So
Yeah.
I've got to be Ivy's gut feeling.
And what a responsibility it is for you as well to translate not only horse but also child and then try and meet them in the middle. When actually it's not you feeling any of it. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah, and then make it fun and enjoyable and make sure that everyone's happy and comfortable and fed and everything else so that those things can be a really enjoyable experience. But actually, in my brain, I've got 55,000 tabs open, making sure that everything is okay for the experience to be what I've hoped it is.
so this for anyone that's listening to this that maybe hasn't ventured into this world before. I think this maybe could sound like a little bit of information overload. Going to shut this down, not going to do it because it just sounds like absolute hell on earth.
I'm really sorry if that's how I'm making it sound.
No, you're not. I think it's both of us. But what would you say to those people? Like, what are the reasons that you keep doing it? And where would you start if you were just venturing into this for the first time?
Do you know what? I think it's just being open minded in the respect that it's a completely different hobby to anything else that you will ever do. And it's definitely got perks and it's got negatives. Why we keep doing it? Because there's a little fire in that little girl's belly that I've never seen ignited with anything else. Who Ivy is to her core is because of her ponies. I 100% know that. I was reading from this the other day, you know, she's the most empathetic, sensitive, understanding child because she's had to communicate with something that cannot talk to her.
Yeah. Gosh, you've
I
actually
mean,
made me tear up a little bit and a little like hair like on my skin is just standing up. I hope that anyone that isn't an equestrian and is listening to this, or isn't an equestrian yet, should I say,
yeah,
or isn't raising a rider yet, they understand that it's not just a hobby actually. It is soul shaping. It is personality defining.
100%. Yeah.
This isn't clay pottery, chaps. This is this is building relationships with something that literally cannot speak your language, and that is so powerful. So
Yes.
powerful.
Like I say, it's made Ivy is extremely switched on with if I'm in the car and I'm thinking about something and she clocks my eyes in the rear view mirror, she knows that I maybe got something on my mind and she'll say, "Mummy, are you okay? Are you thinking about something?" I am telling you right now, the reason why she's like that is because she's doing that with her.
I didn't think you were gonna get me, but I'm here. I'm here. I've got little tears. Um, you've got me. Well done.
So it's goddamn, I'm not gonna come on here and say it's not hard work because it bloody well is, but it is unbelievable how horses, ponies can shape your personality 100,000,000%.
I was gonna ask
And
you.
you know that, you've grown up with them. You know that, you've grown up with them, haven't you?
I have, but only through my own force, My
Yeah.
parents didn't want me to have horses because they were like, "Oh, it's something else to do, isn't it? And something else to spend our money on and something else to spend our time on." But guess who was driving a lorry round and about, And not because I wanted to, but because I was so obsessed by it all, and so I was just building myself through it all, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy that they stuck with it and just let me
And
do
they
it.
allowed you to do that. And this is it, I think when we say hobby, it isn't a hobby, like you say, but I think if you compared it to something else, dance class, for example, they go for an hour a week, they maybe do a show at every term. 90% of that is not doing that hobby, is it? Whereas for something like for equestrians, Ivy in the morning wakes up and says, "What's the weather like? Are the horses getting turned out today? Have we got a lesson tonight? Are we able to ride? Is the weather going to be nice so we can ride? Has he got his rug off? Has he got his rug on? Have they been fed?" It's a constant because they're pets as well as a hobby. You might have a child that dances all the time when they're not dancing, but they're not having to keep an actual animal alive and
Alive.
cared for, and yeah, exactly. So it is such a different type of sport.
I was gonna ask you, would you choose to do it for her again? Would you choose this all over again?
100%. And if there is somebody listening to this that is thinking about getting their children into it, or their child is asked about ponies, riding, they want to ride, they want to do whatever, I would say 100,000,000% give it a try. I think you have to explore what that looks like, but it isn't like a bog standard sport or hobby or phase. Everyone thinks it's gonna be a phase, don't they?
Spoiler alert, it isn't. Or maybe it is for some
Um,
people, but it definitely wasn't for me.
it maybe is. Like I say, horses are too expensive and too time consuming to not have the drive and the love for it on the other side of it. You have to have that.
You do, otherwise it's flipping miserable. You not
Exactly.
not only do you blow yourself up, but you blow your own relationships up as well, she says, speaking from experience. So, yeah, I think this episode has been such a thinker for me, like a proper thinker, and I hope that it really I hope that it helps somebody out there that's maybe toying with the idea or on the fence about it, because I've learnt so much from you, and
Really?
I am constantly in awe of what you choose, and this has been a great conversation.
I've
So,
absolutely loved it. Yeah, I feel like we could talk forever, but it's definitely, I'm hoping it is opening some doors for some people to think about and hopefully, like you say, resonate with.
and also as well, just a little reminder that there are people out there, in similar boats,
Exactly.
to use your phrase. Laura, thank you so, 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 so much for being on the pod.
You're very welcome. I've loved it.
I've just had such a great time. Um, EMC peeps, listeners, we're gonna wrap this up now because this could go on for literally hours because I'm so fascinated. But I've got a funny feeling that this might not be the last time you see or hear from Laura without dropping her in it or alluding to anything yet that we haven't publicised. But if you have any questions for Laura or for me as part of this, feel free to drop me a DM or an email or, a contact form on the website, because this is an area we're going to explore a bit more over the next couple of months. So, yeah, give us your questions.
Amazing.
Give us your questions and we'll try between us to address them in some way.
Exactly, that's so exciting.
Um,
It would just be nice for people to be, like you say, felt seen and heard and know that there is a community for us crazy, crazy equestrian mums.
oh, there is, and it continues to grow with madness and craziness, but a whole lot of love.
Absolutely.
Laura, it's been awesome. I will catch you very soon, but Equestrian Mums Club listeners, I'll catch you too. Thank you all. See you on the very next one. Bye.